What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So, the Season 7 patch notes have finally been released for us, and there has been quite a few changes, and a lot of unexpected ones as well. Ones that I didn't really think needed to be changed, but, I mean, here we are. And, of course, there are some changes where there are, some weapons that got adjusted to the point where it was actually necessary because they were useless as fuck. But here we are. So let's begin. So the Fennec nerf has an overall increase with reload time. Vertical recoil has been increased. Damage range is decreased. ADS bullet spread is increased by 7%. Increased hipfire bullet spread by 12.5%. So it's a pretty heavy nerf. So hopefully it makes it, it's still usable, but not like crazy overpowered. So now let's move on to the MX9. Increased hipfire spread by 8%. So it's not really much of a nerf because, I mean, some people just basically focus on aiming. And plus this weapon's already really good with hipfire spread. So, I mean, what's a small amount really going to do to this weapon? So now let's move on to the GKS, and this is one of the more interesting changes. They are going to add an enhanced bolt attachment for the GKS. So basically it's going to increase the fire interval, or I guess decrease the fire interval by 14.2%. So that's a pretty significant amount, especially for the GKS. Of course, it's not without its downsides. It has decreased damage range by 7%. First range single shot damage increased from 28 to 27%. So it's going to get a slight damage decrease and slight damage range decrease. So here is another change for the Razorback rapid fire weapon adjustments. The buff, of course, increases the decreases the fire interval by 11.9%. So it's a slight buff, but I don't know if it's really going to make much of a difference. But they did add some downsides as well. Unfortunately, it decreases range by 5.2%. Let's see, the first range single shot damage decreases from 30 to 29. So yeah, pretty much nerf to its damage if you do use this attachment. For the QXR, there's only one buff. First range single shot damage increased from 22 to 23. So, it's a slight change. I don't really think it's gonna make too much of a difference. I don't know if this is all across the board, so I don't know if it's gonna affect, especially when you're gonna have the enhanced bolt on. So, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Now for the DRH, again they buffed it. It seems like they really want this weapon to be on top. It has decreased ADS bullet spread by 6.5%, decreased vertical recoil by 4.5%, removed vertical recoil penalty for the 25 round OTM mag, and increased the hipfire spread by 10%, which doesn't really matter because no one hipfires with this weapon. The one thing I never understood though with the DRH is that, like, I don't understand how, like, there's two attachments that have the OTM mag, the 25 round and 30 round. So why does the 30 round have a vertical recoil penalty, but the 25 round OTM mag doesn't? I mean, they have the same rounds. They should be able to perform the same way. So I don't understand that. That's weird, especially when you have the same rounds. I don't know. It's a confusing thing for me. The AK-47 changes are applicable only for multiplayer modes. Okay, so yeah, the AK-47 has been it's been fucked on a lot in multiplayer. It used to be a 3-shot, then 4-shot, then 5-shot, then it's super heavy and it has so much recoil. It's like they were doing their best to make sure that this weapon never succeeds. But now it seems like they finally did something about it. So the buff is that they increased ADS movement speed by 6%, decreased ADS time by 6%, increased fire rate from 550 rounds per minute to 560 rounds per minute, decreased ADS bullet spread by 7%. So overall buff, making the ADS time is probably the most significant one to me. The nerf, of course, is decreased hipfire accuracy by 8%. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's something that the AK-47 has needed. They're also going to add a 36 round 5.45 millimeter caliber mag. So we've seen this before. They had like a 30 round one and it wasn't really that great, but from what they're saying, it's probably going to be a lot better. So let's actually get into this real quick. So it decreases fire interval by 23% from the current 22.7%, and it has 6 extra rounds for that magazine. Of course, the cons are it increases ADS time by 3%, decreases range by 29%, and increases vertical recoil by 4.5 from the current 5.3. So I don't know if that's going to be significant, but yeah. The way to unlock it is just basically kill 65 enemies with the 30 round 5.45 caliber. So it's a pretty simple task. I'm sure it should be available to unlock once the update is live. So we're going to have to wait and see. The 30 round 5.45 millimeter caliber adjustments, added attributes, decreased ADS time by 20%, decreased reload time by 5%, attachment penalty changes, decreased damage range penalty from 35 to 29%. That's a pretty good one. Decreased vertical recoil penalty from 5.3 to 4%. So yeah, that's something that we saw earlier. But if I'm correct, maybe so if it decreases the ADS time by 20%, so in theory, maybe the 36 round mag is probably gonna be what, 17%. So maybe it's not gonna be all that bad. This is something that I've asked for a long time, because this specific mag that increases the fire rate for the AK-47 has been such a detriment to the gun. It feels like it has more downsides than upsides. And it felt like it was always pointless to use it unless you had recoil stabilizing things for your AK-47, which made it a lot heavier, so it was kind of pointless. So I'm glad that they finally made the choice to, you know, just make the gun significantly lighter. So that's something that the AK-47 definitely needed, and hopefully we could finally turn it into a AK-74U. So let's see. Let's move on to the M4 LMG. So 40 round light reload adjustment. So the buff is increased ADS speed boost by 20% from the current 15%, so that's pretty cool. The nerf is a decreased movement speed boost from 8% to 6%, decreased reload boost from 20% to 15%. Okay, that's something. For the 30 round light reload adjustment, it's increased ADS speed boost from 10 to 25%, and increased movement speed boost from 7 to 9%. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And that's I remember there was an issue with these two. It wasn't really bugged, but I think the 30 round light reload for the M4 LMG was actually heavier than the 40 round. So they finally adjusted to make it more correct. So now it's the 40 round light reload is going to be a lot more like heavier instead of the 30 round. So that's, yeah, I'm glad that they made it, because now it makes sense. So let's move on. Now we have the M16. There's two buffs: decrease the recoil jump of the third bullet of the burst, decrease hit flinch by 9%. So I mean, that might help, that might not. Hopefully it makes it at least somewhat into a laser, but at the same time I don't really know how effective it's going to be. The HS-0405, a buff: decrease sprint to fire time by 9%, decrease ADS bullet spread by 6%, decrease hip fire spread by 10%. Holy fuck. Decreased reload time by 5%. So a buff pretty much across the board for this weapon. Hopefully it just doesn't plague the game, but I doubt it will. I mean, shotguns aren't really that reliable when there's so much movement speed. AK-117. Let's see. The buff is first damage range increased from 4 meters to 9. Okay, that's pretty intense. First range single shot damage increased from 25 to 26. So holy crap, that's a pretty significant change. But they did decrease the fire rate by 10 rounds per minute. So I don't know, maybe it might be really good. I don't know. Increased hit flinch by 15%. So yeah. The thing is that I'm saying I don't know a lot because, you know, like these changes look good on paper, but like when they actually perform in game, it might be a different thing. So who knows? The RUS-79U buff: first damage range increased from 4 meters to 7 meters, so a pretty good range increase. Hit flinch decreased by 6%. I mean, I don't even know if it even had hit flinch. Vertical recoil decreased by 5%. I mean, that one, I mean, this thing was a laser, so I guess, I don't know. Alright, so here's a significant change. The AS-VAL, one of the most spammed weapons in this game's history. So the buff is its hit flinch decreased by 16%, so, I mean, it's more stable. The nerf is that decreased bullet velocity by 10%. Okay. So increase recoil, vertical recoil by 7%. Okay. So basically it's going to be more unstable with a little bit less bullet speed. So of course you're going to probably going to have to rely on that mid-range barrel. I mean, which pretty much everyone does at this point. So now let's move on to the Type 25. Let's see what they added. So ADS bullet spread decreased by 4%. Horizontal recoil decreased by 8%. Okay, horizontal recoil decreased by 8%. That's something that the Type 25 definitely needed. They are going to have a 35 round stopping power mag. Okay, that's something that this one needs as well, because you run out of bullets so fast with the 30 round stopping power. Pros, damage increased from 24 to 25, so now it could 4-shot. Base mag size increased by 5. Cons, 7.5 vertical recoil, 8.5 reload time, and plus 8% ADS time. In order to unlock it, you have to kill 70 enemies with the regular 30 round stopping power. It's not that hard. I mean, that's like 2 games, or maybe 3 at most. The 30 round stopping power mag adjustment. So I'm pretty sure they had to adjust it in order to kind of make it right for each of these 2 options. Remove the ADS bullet spread accuracy penalty. Decrease the ADS time penalty from 8% to 4.8%. So yeah, basically kind of cut it down by almost half. Decrease the vertical recoil penalty from 8.5 to 7.5. It increased the reload time penalty from 3 to 5%. Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's whatever to me. HVK 30 slightly increased the damage range of the base gun. Reload time decreased by 10%. I don't know if that really makes that much of a difference, because I mean, it's I don't know, like, maybe that's going to affect all the different mag options, including the 24 round large caliber, but I don't know, maybe it's not going to be something significant. It says slightly increased, so it may not be much. So let's move on to the S36. So there's a buff, horizontal recoil decreased by 17%. Okay, thank God. Dude, this thing has this is like the LMG that has the most horizontal recoil, but I'm glad it's being changed. ADS bullet spread decreased by 5%, so that's pretty cool as well. The nerf is that the fire rate is decreased by 10 rounds per minute. Okay, I mean, I feel like they're doing that with every gun that has a fast fire rate, just to make it stronger. Vertical recoil increased by 4%, so I mean, just rubberized grip tape, that would pretty much alleviate the issue. Let's see, the Holger 26 nerf, ADS time increased by 8%, hit flinch increased by 15%, slightly decreased damage range of the base weapon, ADS movement speed decreased by 3%, so overall a nerf all across the board for this weapon, and it kind of needed it because it's a pretty broken LMG at the moment. The ASM-10 horizontal recoil decreased by 9%, ADS time decreased by 4%, so it's going to make it a little bit faster. Of course, the vertical recoil is increased by 3%, so that's basically the trade-off. Okay, so now they're going to have a 30 round fast mag. Okay, that's pretty interesting to me. Pros, okay, a plus 5 round magazine capacity, 17% reload time, so that's pretty cool. The cons is that it's 2.8% ADS time, 1.5 movement speed. So it's not really, it's not like it's like a crazy amount of downsides. Kill 2 enemies without dying 10 times with the ASM-10. I mean, that should be done in 1 game, unless it only counts for 1 game. But hopefully, I don't have to do that 10 times in 10 different games. So the ICR one also did get a buff. Hit flinch decreased by 17%, slightly increased damage range. Let's see, ADS bullet speed or ADS bullet spread decreased by 9%. Vertical recoil increased by 5%. Okay, so I mean, hopefully the range is good enough to make it back into a 4-shot, because it'll be too similar to the M4. The Man of War, let's see. Fire rate increased from 500 rounds per minute to 510 rounds per minute. So it's going to be a little bit faster. The ADS time decreased by 4%. Hip fired bullet spread decreased by 10%. Vertical recoil decreased by 8%. So they're pretty much kind of bringing it back to how it was before. Somewhat. I think the ADS time was, I mean, decreased a little bit, but it's probably not as it was before, like when it was overpowered. So we're gonna have to wait and see. The HBR A3, let's see, the buff, ADS bullet spread by 5%, vertical recoil decreased by 3%. I mean, you have to increase the damage with this thing. I mean, it's nice that you're stabilizing the weapon even more, but it's not helping if it's still very weak. But, I mean, that's just me. The CR56 AMAX, ADS bullet spread decreased by 4%. Horizontal recoil decreased by 6%. That's something it definitely needed. The KN-44 got a buff. Horizontal recoil decreased by 9%. Let's see. The LK-24 ADS bullet spread decreased by 5%. Sorry, I burped. Full reload time decreased by 8%. So full reload must mean that like when you run out of bullets completely and you have to cock back the weapon as well. So it might be a little bit quicker. The LK-24 buffs announced by the Chinese version community manager August 22nd. So added upper chest multipliers 1.1 to the base gun, slight reduction to horizontal recoil on the base gun. Hipfire spread decreased, strike stock reduces ADS bullet spread and decreases horizontal recoil more. So basically it's added to that. So let's see the changes. It went from 6.6 for the ADS bullet spread to 9%. Horizontal recoil control boost changed from 6.7 to 9. It's pretty good. Well, plus stacking that up with, you know, the 5% decrease on top over here. No stock, light stock, combat stock reduction to the bullet spread penalty buff. No specific information on that as of now. So that's pretty much it. That's the entire patch notes for Season 7. I mean, most of these changes were absolutely necessary. I'm glad that they're giving more weapons the chance to shine. You know, the Razorback, the GKS, the AK-47 specifically, because, I mean, this weapon's been neglected for too long. The M4LMG also needed some adjustments, but it's nothing really crazy. The M16, I'm glad that they thought about it, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The HS-0405, I mean, it's cool, but I don't know if it's going to, like, have people, you know, spraying me across the map in one shot. That might be a problem. The AK-117, I mean, it's good that it's getting more range because it is kind of weak in some points. RUS, I don't really think it needed too much of a change. I thought it was fine the way it was, but I mean, if you want to increase it more, I guess we could just experiment with that. The AS-FAL definitely needed the nerf. MX-9, I mean, it wasn't really much of a nerf, but I'm glad we got one. The Fennec definitely needed the nerf. The Type 25 was also another gun that was neglected. Hopefully it's a lot better when the game gets updated, as well as just the rest of the weapons, honestly. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like. Tell me what you guys think down below in the description, or sorry, in the comment section. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day, guys.